YOLO! Hello. let's, let's get started on this homework. I'm going to try to post it as soon as I can. I know it's a little bit late. I have some stuff I had to do right after school today, and I do apologize, but yet, let's get to it. Today was all about these multiple representations, all right? So these multiple representations meant that you have five things all kind of working together to have the same end effect. In the same way, YOLO, the battle cry of a generation, can be described exactly as that, the battle cry of a generation, and used to engage in activities that may be inappropriate or not well thought out. Here's the example. Here's a picture, a diagram of someone who has said YOLO and is touching the boat. And you know you shouldn't touch the boat. He knows that. Examples. People who would scream YOLO, jumping off a cliff into water of unknown depth. Meaning that you're jumping off a cliff and you have no idea if the water's going to stop. There might be a wash machine under there or something, right? Trying something new without knowing the outcome. YOLO. Trust falling. YOLO. You should try that. It's actually funny. Waiting until the end of the day of it's due to do a project. YOLO. Eating more than one brownie. YOLO. And of course, here's Kendrick Lamar planning for the future. That is the non-example. If you're planning for the future, you are now screaming YOLO like a maniac while jumping off a bridge. So we had you do your own. We worked this out, and the big thing about the tie-in here is that each individual piece should all have a common theme. Bikes and wheels, B and W for the rules. That should show up on the table, or the graph, excuse me. It should be what we're using in the table, bikes and wheels, and then of course, bikes and wheels, so the verbal description, also with an amount, how much of those bikes and wheels are actually changing. So we did this one in class. You guys did amazing. This is just a fantastic. I want to take a screenshot of this and say, look, this is what our kids are doing now. Suck it, rest of the world, because this is advanced stuff. I know it seems crazy, but you guys did an amazing job. So on this one, let's just kind of tear through these. We have like three more, and I have 17% on my iPad. So let's get to her. We're given the diagram and the picture. So we have figure 1, 2, 3, 4. We probably want to give this some kind of name. If we're calling that figure, I'm going to call this guy dots. So we can kind of establish a pattern. We had 4, now we have 6. I'm sorry, 4, now we had 6. That gives us 8. Now we're up to 10. If we're looking at a change, that's a +2 change. Okay, so we can probably reflect that into our verbal description. So the verbal description I'm going to write here is starting with 4 dots. We're going to add 2 dots each time. Okay, so input-output table. Well, we're talking about figures and dots. That's better show up in our input-output table. So I'm going to use an F for figure. I'm going to use a D for dots. So figure 1, 4 dots. Figure 2, 6 dots. 3 is 8 dots. 4 is 10 dots. Again, we're seeing a nice vertical change on the graph that should reflect our table. I'm going to put figures down here. Now I'm going to put dots here. D-O-T-S. That's okay. I'm going to that up a little bit. So we're going to choose a scale. We have to kind of be mindful of that. We have to get to 4 because that's what we've been shown. But we have a whole lot of space to get to figure 4. So what I'm going to do is actually skip a little bit. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. That's make that a 1. 1, 2, 3. Make that a 2. 1, 2, 3. Make that a 4 or 3 because I can count all of a sudden. 1, 2, 3. Make that a 4. That way we're nice and spread out. We're going to use all of our grid. That's kind of one of our big rules. And we did label dots and figure. Now dots on the side has to get to 10. Again, I have lots of room to get to 10. So here's what I'm going to do. That's going to be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Now I'm using at least half my graph, and that's okay because I can always extend. Now let's go ahead and dot this guy up. What do you guys say? Shall I use yellow? I'm going to use yellow. Dots. Okay. So we have first one on our table. We have 1, 4. So that's 1, 4. Boom. Big dot. We have 2, 6. So over 2 up to 6. And again, if we're looking at our pattern, we should kind of see something emerging here. I'm going to go actually a little smaller on these. Boom. Okay. So 1, 4, 2, 6. 3, 8, 4, 10. You see it all forms in a straight line, but more importantly, hopefully you guys have noticed, get out of here, fly. Fly is attacking me. Hopefully you noticed that I'm kind of going up 2 every time I slide over 1. Not grid lines, but values on X and Y. In fact, we kind of see that here as well. Like we see this +2 action every time we see this +1 here. So to find the rule, we can do this a couple different ways. I'm going to use actually my verbal description to help me figure out this rule. Starting with 4 dots, add 2 dots each time. So starting with 4 dots, add 2 dots every time I have a new figure. That's going to tell me my number of dots. Of course, let me go back. F for figure, and then D for dots. So it all has to tie in. Okay, so we kind of started the diagram and picture. We had the verbal description. We filled in the input-output table. We got the graph, and then using the verbal description, we went back and actually filled in the rule. Let's get cracking to the next one. Okay, so this guy tells. Oh, we actually have our input-output table. So let's take a look. First of all, I'm going to try to figure out my change. I got a +5 here. Looks like it's going to be pretty consistently +5. So that's going to actually help me find my rule. So if it's +5 going down, that means it's -5 going up. So 0 is going to be 5. Now that tells me that I'm always going to have a +5 for my rule. This tells me how much I'm actually multiplying by. So my rule is going to be height y, because it tells me to use y, is equal to 5x plus 5. Okay. So I have my rule. We can probably get the graph right away too. Looks like I'm measuring years versus height. Okay, so let's go years and height. Okay. Now, if I look at my years, I only have to get to 5. My height's got to get to 30. So years only getting to 5. Again, it's going to give me some freedom to kind of skip around a little bit. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh goodness, is that twice? Did I skip 3 twice? 3, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 6. And my height's got to get to 30. And that's a little bit taller order. 6, 18, that's 20. Count by. Well, you know what? Our table's kind of counted by 5s. I think I might want to do that. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So now let's go ahead and pull in our dots. So I have 1 starting at 10, and then going up by 5. So 1 starting at 10. So 2's got to be at 15. 3's got to be at 20. 4's got to be at 25. And 5's got to be at 30. Okay. So again, we're seeing this kind of this movement up. So diagram. Now here's where it gets crazy. We talked about this right then in class. Years and height. This could be a lot of things. But so the diagram I'm going to draw, I think, is one that we drew in class. So it's kind of like a tree, right? So we have this tree. It's a pretty little tree. And then it gets bigger. So this tree is now bigger than it used to be because it's growing every single year. In fact, it's got better leaves all of a sudden. More deep, lush leaves. So that can be a diagram. The tree is simply getting bigger. Let's go to our verbal descript. That's why I say description now. Descript. Okay. Starting at 10, a tree grows 5, I don't know, what do you guys say, inches per year, which is actually pretty hefty growth. All right, let's keep going. Oh, too far. Okay, one more left, guys. So here, we're starting with a graph. Okay, so if we're starting with a graph, my first move is probably going to actually go to a table. So here we have score and hours. Just flip those around because hours are on the bottom. Hours and then score. So let's pull some values off this table. So this first value looks like I'm going 1, and that's right between 10 and 20. So that's going to be 1, 15. This looks like it's going to be 2, 25. That's going to be 3, 35, 4, 45, 5, 55. You can kind of see the pattern. 6, 65, 7, 75, 8, 85, and 9, 95. Okay, so we can take those values and we can transfer them right to our little table over here. To quote Johnny. Okay, so we got 1, 15, 2, 25, 335, 445, 555, 665, 775, 885, and 995. Okay, so from here, I think I'm going to go ahead and extract the rule. And the reason is because I have this table and I'm noticing a couple of things. One, I'm seeing that this growth we have is plus 10. And then the second thing I know is if I bump it back to 0, it's going to start at 5. So I'm looking at my rule and I'm going to see that my score is going to be equal to the number of hours I take. Multiply it by, let me back up. 10 times the number of hours plus 5. So 10h plus 5. That's messy. Let me try one more time. Okay, so the score is going to be equal to 10h plus 5. Okay, and I got that by bumping back to 0 and knowing that I have to add 5, and I'm seeing this vertical change of plus 10, which means I got to multiply by 10. Okay. Diagram in the picture. So what does this mean? Well, if I'm looking at this, it seems as if the hours I spend increase, my score should increase too, which is going to be actually a nice verbal description. So if I study more, my grade goes up 10 points for every hour, starting at 15 for an hour. That also implies that if you don't study, you get a 5%, which is probably true. Okay, diagram and picture. Well, here's where we can get kind of crazy. We're going to draw someone probably studying a lot, right? So let's draw. I don't know. Let's get bananas here. So let's draw a little table here, and let's say this person is sleeping. So they have their get out of here. I want you. So let's say this person is sleeping. Their head's down, and let's put a little thought bubble right here. And put sleep. And then I'm going to draw someone right here. Also at a table. But they are wide awake. And they are reading a book, meaning that they're studying. And then I'm going to draw an arrow. And I'm going to draw an A. And draw an arrow and put a nice little F right there. Okay, so we have multiple representations, guys. We're going to continue this conversation tomorrow. You're going to actually delve deeply into one of these representations and really just kind of extract perfectly how to use it. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys had a good day. I had a good day today. I will see y'all tomorrow.